close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Fehily, 22.99.
Noel Fehily can wait no more, and now he urges Blumenau to go and try and seal the deal in the champion hurdle.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome to the Star Sport Podcast. My name is Jack McCarran of the Southern Star, and I'm joined as always by Star Sport editor Kieran McCarthy. On this week's show we're chatting to the legendary jockey Noel Fehily from Copeen, who was inducted into the West Cork Sports Hall of Fame at the Celtic Ross Hotel on Saturday evening.
We'll also hear from Conor Hourihane, who was crowned overall Sports Star of the Year on the night, as well as talk to Cork's under-20 All-Ireland winning captain from 2019, Peter O'Driscoll.
But Kieran, before all that, let's chat about the night as a whole. The calibre of athlete on show in Rosscarbery on Saturday was remarkable. You and I were there to speak to some of them. You gave a speech and were involved in the presentation and judging of the awards. So what your main takeaways from the evening?
And we kind of mentioned it on the night itself, Jack, but and we've mentioned it here in the podcast a lot actually since we've been doing this, but the calibre of athletes and sports people in West Cork is absolutely phenomenal. And you could see it again in the room the last night. You had a world champion rower, Fintan McCarthy, you had a world champion kickboxer, Tony Stevenson, you had an All-Ireland winning captain, Peter O'Driscoll, you had Melissa Duggan, an all-star footballer, one of the finest ladies footballers in the country. You had a Hall of Famer in Noel Fehily, a man who obviously you had a chat and we'll listen to that interview later on, but one of the greatest jockeys that this country has ever produced. Go through some of the other nominees. Inya Breen, an Ireland Rugby International. Dara McElhinney, a European under-20 athletics bronze medalist. Josh Wycherley and John Hodnett both won Grand Slams with the Ireland under-20s last year. And in fairness to John Hodnett, he came all the way down to the awards on Saturday night after playing for the Munster A's against Connacht. So again, that just shows, I think, the kind of the esteem that these awards are held in, that people make that extra effort to attend. Melissa Duggan finished work in Cork at 6 o'clock, straight into the car and flying down to Rosscarbery to be at the awards. Noel Fehily flew home especially for them. It's just, these are such a special award scheme. They're going 22 years now and they're getting bigger, better and stronger. And it's all thanks and all because of the local sports people we have here in West Cork. I don't think we do realise how lucky we are. Like I said, the calibre was absolutely off the charts. That's not even mentioning the Youth Award winner, Fiona Keating from Courcey Rovers. Fiona is an amazing young talent. She won All-Ireland minor camogie football titles with Cork last year, kind of almost top scorer in both teams. And she played 2 basketball games on Saturday with her school before she even came to the awards. So again, the talent was off the charts. It was an absolutely brilliant night. Helped massively by Jackie Hurley, our guest presenter, our guest talker. Jackie has very strong links to West Cork. Her mum is from Rosscarbery and Jackie herself is from Ballinhassig, which you said on the night is right on the border there, kind of, you could claim it as West Cork, and we were on Saturday night. Her speech was absolutely brilliant. It was just a phenomenal night. Again, great celebration of West Cork sport, and we haven't even talked about the winner yet.
No, we'll come to him in part 2, but just in terms of your own self-worth, did you feel inadequate being surrounded by all this greatness on Saturday? I did feel kind of inadequate as both a person and a failed sports participant.
Well, I can relate to that on a lot of levels as a failed sports person, and yeah, but us Kerry people have this inbuilt confidence, you know, kind of we never feel kind of too down in a room, but you have to be blown away by the brightness of the stars that was in the room on Saturday night. We've said it before here, we really are lucky here in the Southern Star that we've such an array of talent. And if you look at the overall winners of the Celtic Ross West Cork Sports Star Awards over the last number of years, you're talking Gary and Paul O'Donovan, who we all know what they've achieved. Fehily was last year's winner, Ireland's fastest ever woman. Shane O'Driscoll and Mark O'Donovan won it in 2017 after they dominated the world of the lightweight pair. Lily Delacour won it before that. Before that was Laura Guest, who won a Grand Slam with Ireland. The list is a who's who of West Cork sport. Go back even further, Graham Canty, and so many great sports people. So now credit to all those sports people, and the bar is set really, really high. But I've no doubt there's so much coming up in 2020, and we'll start with the monthly awards again quite soon. We'll be back on the horse again, and looking forward to another huge year for West Cork sport.
Well, speaking of getting back on the horse, one man who's gotten off the horse.
What a segue! I don't get enough credit for my segues, but keep going.
I don't think you can own the segue, considering I was the one who actually, put it into play. But regardless, we'll compromise. We'll get 50-50 of the credit. Look, I'm rambling now. Saturday night, I was lucky enough to chat to Noel Fehily, who was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. Noel, of course, we've spoken about him ad nauseum on this podcast. He's an absolute legend of the game of horse racing, and I started by asking him what it meant to be inducted into his own local Hall of Fame.
It's a big achievement to be recognised locally. That's why I make the effort every time I get. It's my fourth time getting the award here. Obviously the Hall of Fame. This time I got the monthly awards. The last time I always try and make the effort to come back, get a flight home, and try and collect these awards, because these are important to be supported by people of West Cork, and it means a lot.
And obviously you only retired last year, so the Christmas just passed was your first Christmas out of the saddle. How did you find that? Did you go racing? Did you come home, or what did you get up to?
I didn't go racing on Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day. I just watched it. There's a lot of good racing, so I watched it on television. But whereas normally I've been to Kempton over the last few years, King George's and everything else, stuck in the thick of the action. But it was quite nice this year to have a bit more relaxed Christmas, and able to enjoy it a little bit more with the kids, and be able to watch the racing on the TV was quite nice for a change.
And so Kempton at Christmas was obviously probably one of the biggest meetings in your career in terms of career achievement. You had the double with Silviniaco Conti.
Yeah.
Where does that rank in terms of your career highlights? You've had numerous. Where does Silviniaco Conti rank?
Yeah, it's right up there. When I went to England, if someone told me I'd be riding at that meeting, over Christmas, Boxing Day, King George meeting, if someone told me I'd be riding at that meeting, let alone riding in the King George and winning it, that would have been a dream for me going to England. But to actually be riding at that meeting for the last few years, and to win the race twice, and be taking part in all them big races over Christmas, that's massive. And look, they're the days I look back on and really appreciate. And
your career spanned many years, and you had many great days. You won the Champion Hurdle twice, the King George twice, as we mentioned, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. Of all the great horses that you rode, is there any that has a particular fondness for you?
I suppose, like you said, Silviniaco Conti. He was a horse I rode over. I rode him as a 4-year-old. I was still riding him when he retired as a, I think, 11 or 12-year-old. I rode him right through. I won 7 Grade 1s on him, 2 King Georges. He was a fantastic horse, and I suppose he's one that will always rank. People will remember me, associated with him, because we won so many big races together.
I was reading a piece by a fellow West Cork man recently, Richard Forrest, in the Racing Post, and he spoke about how you were a late bloomer in terms of your Grade 1 winners. You were 32 by the time you won it. Won a Grade 1, you'd won many races before that. Do you think there's any reason that, in particular, you were a late bloomer, or was it just the time was right? I think I probably didn't go to England until I was 22 as an amateur, which is quite late anyway, probably. And then I think I was riding more winners every season. But it's just getting on that Grade 1 horse. They're so hard to find, the big horse on the big day. And then I suppose they're a bit like buses. They came along once I rode one, they seem to come along a bit more often. But it's so hard finding them, and it's the same for a lot of young lads now in the Wareham. I see there's plenty of good lads there, and they just need a good horse. And I think I was probably the same. I just needed a good horse, and once I got one, people start to take notice and think, well, he can do the job. I try not to keep it too much longer, but when you won at Cheltenham last year, when you kind of announced your retirement, you eventually retired a couple of weeks later at Newbury. But the interview you gave to Liddy Hislop on Racing TV that day, I would consider myself a racing fan, so when I watched it, I was quite emotional watching it. It was one of the most emotional TV interviews of all time. And I just wonder how you feel looking back on that. Do you feel that you retired at the right time? You obviously got out on your own terms. So when you look back on those moments, that's a TV legend, that interview. from a fan's point of view, so from the actual person who gave the interview, how do you remember that?
I think it was kind of a build-up, I suppose. I'd been very ill last January and February time, and I was in hospital for a month nearly, and it was looking like I was going to miss the rest of the season. And then I got the all clear. Things started to turn the corner. I really had to work on fitness and everything to get back in time to ride at Cheltenham, and I only kind of just made it back. And I suppose when I was lying in hospital for a month, I was really ill. I was kind of thinking, if I miss the rest of the season, there's no way I'm getting fit again for another season. It gets harder every year, and that kind of made me think I won't ride again for another season. And then I thought, well, if I ride winner at Cheltenham, I'm going to announce it. And but then I didn't really have. I had a few chances earlier on. I thought would win. They didn't win. I had a 50-1 chance. I thought, well, she probably won't win. So I suppose it was a build-up. I thought it was probably never going to come to anything. And then she popped up and won. And I found myself even saying in the interview, I think this will be my last festival. I couldn't even actually come out and say this will be my last festival. So once I'd said it felt right, and I don't miss the daily grind now, and I really enjoy watching racing still.
Okay, 2 more questions then, Noel. Firstly, you are in fairly exalted company at the top of the top jumps riders in the history of British and Irish racing. You're in a line there with the likes of AP McCoy, Ruby Walsh, Barry Geraghty, Richard Dunwoody. Do you think having the likes of those riders riding with you at the same time, did that drive you on? Did that motivate you? Did that help you get to the peak of the sport, which is what you achieved at the end?
Yeah, look, I suppose they were raising the bar all the time. AP raised the bar for everyone else. Before he came along, the likes of Richard Dunwoody, I remember Richard Dunwoody used to take January off. He used to ride up through Christmas and then take a month off during January and then ride on for the rest of the season, and then didn't ride for the summer. And them days are gone. AP rode 365 days a year. If there was racing on, he was there, and I think that made everyone else work so much harder. And I think I was lucky. People say you're unlucky you rode in the year when there was a great band of jockeys riding, but I think I was probably lucky to ride against such a great band of jockeys, and that probably makes you raise your game. And I think AP McCoy, Ruby Walsh's are probably the best we've seen, and to be riding against them and be able to hold my own with them, I think is I think that makes me feel good.
Yeah, well, as you say, it almost elevates your achievements because you were riding against legends of the game. You're obviously a legend yourself, but to actually be riding with these exalted figures, it raises your game. But finally, Noel, so, yeah. I'll just ask you one more question. What's next for Noel Fehily? Obviously, you're like any racing professional. You're not going to leave the game behind. But what do you envisage for yourself in the next few years? Are you going to train, or what do you?
No, I won't be training. But I buy and sell a lot of young horses. I'm breeding a lot of horses. I'm pre-trained and breaking horses, and I'm running a syndicate, Noel Fehily Racing Syndicate, which has started really well. And look, we're looking to have maybe some runners at the Cheltenham Festival, and if we can pull that off, that'd be really exciting, and try and build that a bit more.
So you heard it here first, folks. The Noel Fehily Racing Syndicate, get online, get involved. Thanks very much, Noel. Congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast, #1 for sport in West Cork.
As we mentioned earlier, Aston Villa and Ireland midfielder Conor Hourihane was crowned overall Sports Star of the Year on Saturday night. Kieran, you were part of the judging committee along with our editor Con Downing. Could you maybe talk us through your reasons for picking Conor above all the rest of the high calibre level of athletes?
Like we said earlier, the calibre was off the charts this year, but Conor really did stand out for us. When you see what Conor achieved in 2019 alone, you can see just why he was picked as the West Cork Sports Star of the Year. Conor was man of the match for Ireland against Gibraltar in a Euro 2020 qualifier. Conor scored the winning goal for Ireland against Georgia in a Euro 2020 qualifier, and that was Conor's first goal for Ireland. Conor then became the first West Cork man to earn promotion to the Premier League when Aston Villa won the promotion playoff last May. So Conor became Ireland's first ever Premier League footballer, and he made his debut in August away to Spurs. Then Conor became West Cork's first ever Premier League goal scorer when he notched his first goal against Norwich last October. And at the moment, he has 7 goals to his name for Villa this season, and he's their second top scorer. And just to say as well that Conor's West Cork's first ever Republic of Ireland senior international. So you can see from that alone, Jack, there's a lot of firsts there. Like, kind of, this is a fella who's from Bandon. He's only over the road. He's started off with Bandon AFC, and it's so great to see a local fella achieve so much and he's playing in the greatest league in the world, you know, kind of. He's I was chatting to him on Friday after he was surprised with the Sports Star Award earlier that morning. I'll talk about that now in a second, but he was just saying, just to play in the Premier League alone, and he was involved in the Villa team. They got last 6-1 to Man City there a couple of weeks ago, and he said they're the greatest team he's ever played against, and to be playing against those calibre of players and just to see how good they are is amazing. And to think that he's a local lad playing at that level. So he was a very deserving award winner, but he couldn't get there on the night, which was a big thing. Very important to stress now that Conor Hourihane did not know that he was the winner of the overall award until he was surprised at Villa's training ground last Friday morning. Plan was hatched in the background once we decided that he was going to be the overall winner, and in fairness, Aston Villa were on board from the start, and they were absolutely brilliant to deal with. So last Friday morning, Helen Wycherley of the Celtic Ross Hotel made the flight over to Villa's training grounds in Bodymore Heath, and she was ushered into the media centre there, and Conor was unaware. He was over getting ready for a training session at 9:30 when he was told to report over to the media centre. He had to look over some footage to do with a documentary, a made-up documentary that never existed in the first place. So when Conor walked in, he was totally surprised and shocked to see Helen Wycherley there in the first place, and then to learn that he was the West Cork Sports Star of the year. And you can see it all in that fantastic video that we're going to play quite soon. So this was all very top secret. Only a select few people knew what was going on. And in fairness to Conor, he kept the secret in. He didn't even tell his parents or any family and friends or anyone about the award. And I was actually talking to him on Friday evening. And he was humbled to win this award. He was even saying, like, he's flying the West Cork flag for the people back home. Across in England. He acknowledges and knows how strong sport is here in West Cork, and he actually made the point that he's been nominated a couple of times. He's won a couple of monthly awards, but he'd never won it before, so it did sound like it was something that he did want to win at some point, which is again shows the calibre of these awards and how highly the local sports people hold them. So we played out the video then on Saturday night at the awards after he was announced, and you were there, Jack. I think it just blew people away to see a Premier League footballer, an Ireland international from Bandon, kind of just address the crowd.
Yeah, well, you say I was there, but we're just going to go a little inside baseball for a moment, because the video, which I was aware of, but there was a very few. The only reason I was told was because I had to schedule it to go out on social media. That's one of my jobs here at the Southern Star, and so I was told to schedule it for 11:30 because that's when it was going to be announced, and it was just going to work seamlessly. But 11:30 came, and
11:25 came.
11:25 came, and our excellent guest speaker on the night, Jackie Hurley, was still speaking. So Kieran panicked.
I had to make a call.
He had to make a call, and he sent me, little old me, up back to my hotel room to try and
reschedule the posts.
The posts on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. But of course, by the time I got back down, the Conor Hourihane video was playing, and all the crowd were overjoyed to be watching this. A great piece of video, as you say, from Aston Villa. But I was now sweating at this point, having run up to my hotel room, only to then not be able to reschedule because it was too late, and also miss it in the ballroom and miss the reactions of Conor's parents, Conor's family, Conor's friends, all the other people.
And it was quite special. Like, it was one of those where were you moments, you know, and Jack was rushing down from his bedroom after trying to reschedule the post. But
the things I do for my work.
But it was quite special, and again, like Conor's parents, Helen and John, were surprised on the night. They knew absolutely nothing, and they were blown away too to see the video of Conor like chatting to them and to the whole crowd. So just a great night again, and the video with a big help of Aston Villa TV, who did a superb job, and they turned it around so fast for us. So I think it's time to hear from the man himself now. Like we said there, Conor couldn't make it on Saturday, but thanks to Helen Wycherley of the Celtic Ross Hotel, who headed over to Birmingham to surprise him and give him his trophy, he did have a few kind words for us all.
Conor, hi.
Hello.
Helen from the Celtic Ross Hotel.
How are you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm used to you.
Just wanted to congratulate you on being selected as the overall Celtic Ross Hotel West Cork Sports Star of the Year for 2019.
Brilliant, thank you. Cheers,
We're
appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely delighted
to
bestow this honour on you.
Brilliant, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Really, thank you. Cheers, thank you. Cheers. How have you come up with that idea? Thanks. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, Conor Hourihane here. Sorry I can't be with you tonight. Just a couple of quick words to say I'm absolutely honoured to win the Sports Star of the Year awards. It came as a huge surprise to me, and this morning got presented with the award, so it's been an exciting morning. A special thank you to all my family who are there tonight representing me. I know Mum and Dad and the rest of them won't have a clue about this. I'm going to keep it a surprise for me, so enjoy the night. Thank you for representing me, and thank you for all the support, and for everyone who's come there as well tonight. A huge congrats to everyone who has won the awards over the last 12 months. It's been a fantastic year, and over the years it's been fantastic years for West Cork and all the sports stars. You're representing the West Cork so well, so a huge congrats on your awards, and all the very best for the next year as well. Thanks to everyone there again tonight. Hope everyone enjoys the night, and thanks to Celtic Ross Hotel, C103 and the Southern Star. Take care.
Another man we spoke to on Saturday was Peter O'Driscoll of Island Rovers, and Kieran, with Senior League action set to get underway in a few weeks, it was a good chance to catch up with Peter and to chat about the much anticipated West Cork Group of Death.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about the West Cork Group of Death in the coming weeks and months before we preview the County Championship, but Peter O'Driscoll shared his thoughts on a group that sees Island Rovers in with Newcestown, Castlehaven and Carbery Rangers. Peter was one of our monthly award winners on the night, and he headed off then quite shortly over to Island Rovers' own celebrations and cases in Baltimore, where he was presented with another award. So it was quite a profitable night for Peter in terms of picking up awards. So let's listen to hear what he said. Peter, over the Christmas period, did you have time to look back on what Cork achieved last year?
Yeah, I suppose, you'd be quiet during the Christmas, and we're just back into training and stuff, so, the few days coming up to Christmas I was able to look back at stuff. I watched the game and stuff like that. It was my first time watching it since August, so it was good to reflect on that and the year we had. It was an incredible championship, obviously beating Kerry in the Munster final, then beating Tyrone in the All-Ireland semi-final, and that incredible All-Ireland final against Dublin. Cork were down 9 points, came back to win by 7. It's the stuff of legend, really. Did you realise at the time what a boost that was for Cork football? Not really. I suppose maybe a week or two after, we were kind of, I was out of work and stuff, and I hadn't been meeting much people. You were kind of trying to keep your head down, and the amount of people that would come up to you and say, you made such a difference, and there was even people compared to 2010 in Croke Park that it was better than that, the atmosphere and stuff. So when you're hearing that, you know that something special really did happen. I remember you talking after, that team was a very special team, like a band of brothers. But such is the grade now, you've all gone on to kind of, I suppose you'll be doing different things, playing with your clubs and so on, and you'll be in opposition from now on. But you'll always have 2019 and what you achieved that year. Yeah, most definitely. I'd still be in contact with a lot of lads. We talk regularly, and we'd be seeing each other around the place. So from April onwards now, we'll be seeing a lot more of each other in different games. You mentioned there that's the County Championship coming up. Island Rovers obviously you can call it the West Cork Group of Death in the new Premier Senior Football Championship, in with Castlehaven, Newcestown and Carbery Rangers. What are your thoughts on that one? I suppose it's just a matter of taking it game by game. We'll start off the league now in the 2nd of February against Kanturk, and we'll take it from there and just take it one game at a time. we won't look down the line too much. We'll just take the New South game first. We'll have a bit of a break into August, and hopefully we'll get there.
Ireland Rovers had a very good year last year, like in the league, winning Division 3, wasn't it? And also a good run in the county championship. Are you looking to build on that this year? Most
definitely. A lot of our core players are staying on this year, and it's a vital that we build on that team. And there's young lads coming through and stuff like that. I feel old now saying that, but it's vital that we get another good year. We don't want to be playing a relegation game, in September rather than playing county quarter final.
The fact that there is 3 West Cork derbies to kind of focus the mind, I presume that's a very good thing for the team.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but like I said, we won't get caught up in it too much now this early in the year. It's only January, so the league in 2 weeks is our main target at the moment. That's what we're aiming for.
How important is the league?
The league's vital. That's where you put your hand up for, first of all, making the team for yourself, and then for the club. You have different strategies to work out, and we get a look at a few things and we're in Division 2 now this year, so it'll be tougher in Division 3, and there'll be a lot of higher competition.
And your plan this year is to focus on Ireland Rovers, like we said, like a big year of the league, big year of the championship, so all your attention and focus is with Ireland this year?
Yeah, all my focus will be Ireland. They were very good to me last year, missing training and stuff, so I think I own this year.
No, brilliant. Peter, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Star Sport Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to all things sport in West Cork. Don't forget to pick up this Thursday's Southern Star newspaper, including our award-winning sports section with everything a West Cork sports fan could want. In shops across West Cork and online from anywhere in the world via www.thesouthernstar.ie/e-paper. The Southern Star and the Star Sport Podcast, number 1 for sport in West Cork.
Welcome back to the Star Sport Podcast, and before we wrap up, Kieran, maybe briefly tell us what to expect in this week's paper. I know there's going to be a great sports section, but there's also our annual Get Active magazine, which is also out this Thursday, so a great week to buy the Southern Star if you're interested in sport, health or fitness.
Yeah, good call there, Jack. You probably guessed by now there's big coverage of the West Cork Sports Star Award, so well worth checking it out for that. Another couple of headlines: Sacred Heart Secondary School won a Munster Junior A Colleges title last weekend. We've interviews with Cork footballers, Cork ladies footballers, Cork hurlers ahead of the big throw-ins to the National League this weekend, and we'll have more of that in the coming weeks. We've all the championship draws locally and so on, so there's a lot in this week's Southern Star Sport, so it really is well worth picking up. And just before we finish up, Jack, just to thank everyone involved in the Celtic Ross West Cork Sports Star Awards. That's Helen Wycherley, Neil Grant and all their team over in the Celtic Ross Hotel, JP McNamara and all the team at C103, Con Downing obviously here in the Southern Star, and a special word too for Paddy Palmer of C103, who was unable to attend the awards last Saturday night. Paddy is ill at the moment, but we wish him all the very best, and he was definitely missed on the night. He's such a larger than life character. It wasn't the same without him, so if you're listening, Paddy, all the best for the year ahead. But just thanks to everyone who was involved in Sports Star Awards, made it a very memorable night again.
And just finally this time, I mentioned the Get Active magazine, which is free in this Thursday's Southern Star, and that features articles by former world kickboxing champion Lily Delacour on the benefits of combat sports, in particular kickboxing. And it's not just for elite athletes, it's kickboxing is for everyone, essentially, is what Lily's saying. There's a piece by Niamh Hayes, who works on Today Show at RTE, about going to the gym and not being intimidated by going to the gym. Gyms are places for everyone. More and more people are being welcomed into gyms. Historically people were afraid to go because of the weightlifting kind of stereotypes, but Niamh talks us through how to feel comfortable in a gym, and there's much more as well. So Get Active, free in this week's Southern Star.
Well worth picking up. Thank you for listening to this week's Star Sport Podcast. We'll be back at the same time next week, so if you enjoy these shows, please make sure to rate, review and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, Stitcher or wherever else you listen to the show.